All right, go ahead.
Dave, how would you describe the first 20 minutes of that hockey game?
Well, I mean, that's not a typical first period in playoff hockey, but sometimes you get those, right? So there's a lot going on there. Obviously, on the defensive side, or play without the puck, we've got to clean some things up there. What I did like is you go down and you're able to push back right away, and and just do it in a way that we've generated offense that way throughout the year. So we're able to get inside a little bit, which you have to do on Ottinger. And that was a big part of some of the offense that we were able to create. But again, flipping it around to the other side, I mean, we've got to clean some things up and be a little stiffer defensively.
Kind of a pro and a con here, Hack. First of all, the pro being the overtime just coming out. We asked Yanni about this and the mindset after giving up the lead and coming out the way you did.
Yeah, our group did a good job. The overtime is, we get a chance to get a little breath with the intermission and just reset a little bit. Obviously, that last 10 minutes, as soon as they got the third goal, I mean, the momentum swing, they came in waves, right? The building's rocking, and you know that they were going to come. But to be able to, get through to the overtime, the intermission, settle down a little bit, and just get back to our game. That's the biggest thing. We didn't do anything spectacular or out of the ordinary in overtime, but, the big thing for me was our group and the older guys in the room were just to be able to bring us kind of back to level, and we got back to our game.
And Ty had some key minutes in overtime, so you showed some trust in the younger guys.
I've talked to you guys about that, all the time. I mean, he's earned our trust in a very short amount of time. I've seen very little evidence that he would shy away from the moment. So he had a great scoring chance in overtime and just missed on it. And probably the biggest thing is, we needed to get back to a little bit of a four-line game in overtime. But, he's a guy that has good chemistry with his line mates. And, in a very short amount of time, those guys, they've been a reliable group, and he's been a part of that. He's not along for the ride. He's contributing.
Dave, you're coming off a pretty emotionally, exhausting, a bit of a draining series against Colorado. How do you think the team's legs held up throughout this game? And you seem to out-hit them by like a 2 or 3 to 1 margin.
Yeah, we sometimes, you come out and you have the quick turnaround. There's a disadvantage in terms of the amount of energy, right? You don't have the rest. You don't have the luxury of a little bit of practice time, but you are in a rhythm. So we knew that we would probably have a bit of a trade-off there, and we had to try to take advantage of, continuing to be in a good rhythm. We talked about trying to find momentum in this game early on. Now, that didn't happen. They came out, the first few shifts and pushed, but we definitely found some momentum throughout the first period, and that was important. We showed at times. We showed some heavy legs, especially when we shortened it a little bit in the third period. It's not a great formula for us. So I guess at the end of the day, the trade-offs were there. There were some heavy legs, but we also continued with, some of the good feeling that we came out of Game 7 with.
Dave, you mentioned there are things to clean up defensively, but the PK once again gets a clean sheet. You keep the top line off the score sheet. One player does get all the goals, but a lot of their offensive firepower is quiet. Are you pleased overall with the defensive effort?
You can't you can't go halfway, right? So there's things we definitely have to clean up with some of the areas. Joe Pavelski again. I mean, what a performance. He's a guy. I think he's played over close to 1,300 NHL regular season games, and I don't know how many playoff games, but he showed what kind of a competitor he is tonight. So obviously he gave us a lot of trouble, but it's not just him. There's a lot of other areas. You might say some of their top guys were quiet. They had some pretty good looks that we've got to do a better job in.
Coach, given the speed and skill it looks like that exists on both teams, should we expect, I don't know, 5-4, 6-3 games? Or do you think this is going to be kind of an aberration?
You know what?
No, I know you don't hope.
Yeah,
I know you
no.
don't. I know you
Actually,
don't
no,
want
I'm not
it.
even going to say hope not. I no, you know what? Typically, things will probably tighten up a little bit as you go through a series. That being said, I mean, there's ability on either side. Both teams play pretty quick, and that's, when you start looking at opportunities that are generated off of quick turnovers and transition, when you look at, opportunities that are being created from 200 feet away off of D zone and, D zone exits and breakouts. I mean, both teams have the ability to generate offense. And I don't think that will change throughout the series. It's a matter of the adjustments that we need to make to try to negate and close down some of those opportunities for the other side.
Good. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.